Thank you, Mr. Krishna. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and congratulations as well for being amongst the 50 finalists of the Global Teacher Challenge. That's a great achievement. And well, I am currently pursuing my PhD in educational sciences at the University of Minho in Portugal. And but I'm from Angola. I grew up. I'm from Angola, and I studied my degree in English language teaching in the bachelor's level, and then I also did my master's in English language teaching here in Angola, and then I went to Portugal for my PhD studies. And I'm an English teacher. Actually, I'm now a lecturer. I've been teaching English for 5 years now. I started in secondary school, just like you, just like Mr. Krishna. And it reminds me, your student remind me a little bit about my student, because I was also teaching grade 7 and 8. So it gives me that reminder of what I was teaching before, and it was really exciting being with kids. And I really prefer teaching kids. And if I really had that opportunity to continue teaching kids, I would really continue with that. But after teaching in the secondary school level, I decided to go to higher education, and I'm currently an assistant professor in higher education here in Angola. And I'm also married, and I've been married for more than 10 years. And what else would I have two kids, two wonderful kids, a son and a daughter. So it's a blessing. It's quite a great responsibility being a mom, a wife, pursuing my career. But yeah, it's been a blessing. Thank you.
I have also understood that you are a great advocate of English language, great advocate of women empowerment, great advocate of African ELTA, I mean English language.
I even forgot. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Well, for the part of my volunteer, I am part of ANELTA. ANELTA is the Angolan Association of English Language Teachers, and within ANELTA, I am the deputy research and project coordinator, and I also co-founded the ANELTA Women Special Interest Group. And yeah, it's been quite a great experience. And I'm also a translator in the volunteer part of the Message of Prophet Kaku Philip, in which I belong to. So
so thrilled to incredible to watch you. And
How are you?
Hello, Nitika. I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm fine, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Nitvika. I am an 8th grader from BBH School, Ilavaram. Here I am so lucky to interact with you, ma'am. Here I would
Thank
like to
you.
ask you a question, ma'am. Can I ask you? You are a lecturer, researcher, and innovative educator. What kind of innovative strategies do you implement in your classroom in teaching English language? How do you motivate your students in learning English language?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question, and thank you for the compliment there. Well, as an English teacher, I've tried to have a good relationship with my student. First of all, I try to establish that solid relationship with them, so that they can be more at ease with me and be more motivated. So that's my first step, is to motivate my students to learn English. And then secondly, as an educator, I try to implement research-based methods of teaching English into my classrooms, and look at what 21st century skills and the new forms of English language teaching, so that I can implement in my classrooms to be up to date. and like using technology, using visual aids in the classrooms and all that to motivate and engage students more in my classrooms. I don't know if there's I think there's another question that you asked.
How do you motivate your students in learning English language?
Oh, okay, moderate. Well, moderation. Well, part of building that good relationship with my students, I also do my best to support them individually because I like group works. It's like here in Angola, as I'm now teaching higher education, and we have more students per class. Like we can have more than 50 students in one classroom, and I normally work with groups. And then when they are doing their activities, I walk around and try to check how they're doing, like in a more individualized way. And encouraging them to learn English because Angola is not, we have English as a foreign language. English is not the official language of Angola. The official language is Portuguese. So English is learned as a foreign language, not even a second language. So they need more motivation from the teacher and showing them the importance of English because it's really it's required for jobs, even for education. So I try to keep this part essential so they can see the importance of English language learning here for them, for their career development and their personal interest as well.
Yes, what is life like in Angola?
Well, life in Angola, it's a blessing. It's fantastic. I love being here in Angola, especially the weather here in my city. It's it's mostly it's not so cold, obviously, and it's not so hot. So it's really the part of the weather also is part of my what I like of Angola. And the other part is also we have very, very friendly people here, and people are really friendly and open to help. So you have more support here, and it's also, well, although I'm in one of the most expensive cities in the world, as it was once said, but compared to Portugal, as I went to Portugal, Angola is more accessible in terms of the living conditions. So it's amazing being here. And the other question was?
It is their question. What schools are popular in Angola, public or private? What are the other languages spoken over there?
Okay. Well, the most common schools where people mostly go to are public schools, but they're quite limited. We have several private schools, of course, where students have to pay, and there's a big difference between the public schools and the private schools here. Well, public schools normally they have very limited resources, and the conditions are not so favorable, and the teaching quality as well, which influences the quality, the learning quality. And most parents prefer to take their kids to private schools. Well, those who can normally take their kids to private schools, but they are very, very, very expensive. There are those that are cheaper depending on the area, but those with higher quality are really, really expensive. So quality education here in Angola is quite expensive. But for parents who are willing to support their kids and tutor them at home, or find someone to tutor their kids, it's even in public schools, it's also a success. And the other languages spoken here, apart from Portuguese, which is the official language. We have Kimbundu, we have Umbundu, we have Kikongo, and we have Chokwe. So these are the main languages spoken in Angola, but we also have other languages spoken in other cultures in other parts of Angola.
Okay, Sarah, English is not a mother tongue in Angola.
No.
So as in India, where we live, English is not at all a mother tongue. But we have been prioritizing English language because of so many uses. As you know that you are a great advocate of English language. I have seen
Thank you.
through your posts. Here,
Thank
what I
you.
would like to ask you, which method you think is the best method to teach students, especially in the area where English is not a mother tongue?
Well, there are quite several methods that can be used, but I go for the integration, like integrating different methods. But the main method here that I think that I see as more effective because of our context here is communicative language teaching approach. Which an approach that allows students to really to engage in interactive activities and immersion and using the language, because they don't use English elsewhere. They only get in touch with the language while at school. So it's quite difficult for them to practice their English. So the more English the teacher uses in the classrooms, the better for the students. So using communicative language teaching approach is, for me, based on my experience, the best method here. But I also try to integrate other types of methods into my class. Combine, the approaches using different methods, communicative method, task-based approach, project teaching, the use of technology, CLIL that's emerging now, in order for students to have a grasp of different strategies and learn better.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. In practically, when I teach English to my students in the classroom, most of my students, they are not good at speaking English because their mother tongue is not English. But some students, they try to speak English because of the exposure in the classroom. Uh, and some students are reluctant to speak English because of some fear factors and some other things. So for those students, I try to motivate them, and I try to give them enough time or enough chance to speak out in front of their fellow friends. So as a teacher, what kind of challenges you have faced in the classroom, and how did you deal with them?
Yes, well, first of all, is studying as a novice teacher. When I started in secondary school, I didn't have enough practice in my previous training. And that was also one of, I don't know if you have seen one of my articles. It actually talks about that, the exposure, the experience of trained teachers, of trainees actually. And yeah, so when I started teaching, I was like, okay, I didn't have enough practice and never enough exposure to real classroom teaching. And that was one of the challenges. I didn't have orientation, like, I don't know if how to call it, an induction, that a mentor, someone to be there to like introduce me to the school and show me all the steps and all that. That was really missing. And what I did is, for this part, what I did is, okay, I remembered what I learned previously, and I went to my books and I searched on the internet to provide quality teaching to my students, because this is what I always try to do. Whatever I'm doing, wherever it is, I always try to put dedication and provide quality service to anyone that I'm working with. And for my students, this is really what I wanted to do. I really wanted to have that connection with them, to build a solid relationship with them, and to provide them that quality teaching despite the limitation. And the other limitation was also on the resources. So we didn't have a library to go to. We weren't provided with any book even. We are the ones who had to go to buy. I am the one who has to go and buy and take copies and bring it in the classrooms, bring my computer because there's no, we don't have a projector in the classroom, bring my speaker. But I tried to do it. Because I really wanted my students to learn English. And this really paid off. As they said, hard work pays off. And they really loved me a lot, and it was really great. And I always try to sacrifice my time and even money just to bring quality a quality lesson to my students. So these are the challenges, and I always try to overcome them by my dedication. And it really pays off. And just like Mr. Krishna, I think you're also doing that, because I was checking your profile and I was like, my goodness, this is quite, it's quite it's hard. It's really hard to always have to contact different professionals. It's not only teachers, from what I saw, and to bring it into the classroom with technology and with and India is not so different from Angola. We also have that lack of the internet can fail, the electricity and all that. But it's a really great work that you are doing there. So if I were in secondary school, I would also implement that. But I will see how I can do that with my university students. It's really great.
Yeah, Sarah, there is a saying that where there is a will, there is a way. And if you are really
Exactly.
determined, you can do anything, because the world is today has become a small village. So we
Yeah,
can do anything. But if you have a
exactly.
commitment, you have a dedication, anything is possible.
Hello.
This is Husniya. I am an eighth grader, ma'am. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Please tell us about your achievements in life and how did you overcome challenges in your life?
Well, my achievement, it's quite difficult to describe my achievements, because I started when I started school, and I just went nonstop, just like one of my lecturers said, I was just going nonstop. And my greatest, pursuing a PhD is obviously one of my achievements, and being able to, while I went for my PhD, it opened my mind, because I was in a different context from the context that I was used to. Portugal is a developed country, and it's part of the first world, and while I'm coming from the third world. So it was a huge a huge change for me, and I got to learn quite a lot of things that I was like, oh, why wasn't I taught this? I mean, why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I do this before? And all that. And I started, that's why I started doing different activities at the same time, because it was such a great experience. I didn't want to lose it. And publishing my work, even my previous work that I developed during my previous studies, and being part of the foundation of the ANELTA Woman Special Interest Group, and being able to inspire other women is also another achievement in my life. And being able to do all these things, and while being a mom, and as I said, a wife, and I've been married for 10 years. And I started well, ever since I got married, I never stopped studying, or I was either a student or a worker. So I was always uh, trying to balance, trying to find the work-life balance. That's why I always stick to education, because education, well, at least here in Angola, I think it's different in other areas, but here in Angola, teachers have the flexibility, and especially for us women, we are able to find that work-life balance, because we are not obliged to be the whole day in the classroom or at school. We can be there in the morning and in the afternoon at home. So this also helped me. That's why I try to stick in the education sector, to allow this flexibility, because although I like I although I want to pursue to be successful in life, to find that to be stable in life, obviously not to be a rich woman or a millionaire, but just to have a stable life. But I also want to provide support to my kids, to my home. I also like being a housewife. So I have to find that balance, and education was one of the ways of overcoming my challenges in life. And the other biggest strategy that helped me overcome my challenges is having a mentor. And I just found out this later, really. I think it was last year that I discovered that, oh, I had a mentor all my life, and I didn't know that. And that's my husband. And people may sometimes think that, okay, it is me, I am the one doing everything, I am the superwoman or whatever. No, it wouldn't be possible if I didn't have someone to be there supporting me, because there are moments that I really wanted to give up. I mean, when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I had my son. Okay, I got married, and then the next year I had my son, and I was like, I remember, and this is always in my mind. Like, I remember breastfeeding my son and reading the book there. So it was really a great challenge. And my husband had to take my baby to school for me to breastfeed him, because he was crying and all that. And then when I did my master's, I had my second baby. And I really wanted to give up, but but my husband was always there supporting me, helping me at home, and say, okay, don't worry, I'll do this, you do that, I'll do this, and encouraging me. And when I finished my master's, I then said, okay, I never thought of quitting anymore. I mean, of course, there are always those challenges. It's like, okay, let me quit, but it decreased, because I really saw that, okay, I reached my master's, and now the opportunities are coming, and okay, this is how life should be. I need to dedicate myself in order to have a more stable life, and not struggle a lot. So dedication, having a mentor, someone that you can trust, and someone that you can share with him your difficulties in life, because I mean, life has ups and downs. I mean, you can have a successful life, but there are moments that things will put you down. So having that someone to be there to mentor you, to support you, it's really important. And putting dedication in what you do. As I said, I always try to provide quality services in what I do, whatever I do, whether I'm translating, whether I'm teaching, whether I'm presenting, whether I'm writing. I always try to put in dedication in what I do. And this has helped me overcome my challenges, because if I am dedicated, then the struggles will be limited, because you have more opportunities, you provide quality services to others, and they will always want to contact you, and you will keep on moving forward. So this is one of the ways of overcoming the challenges in life.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah,
Thank you.
now you are pursuing the PhD. Once
Yes.
you successfully complete the PhD degree, so what will be your immediate goal to achieve? Would you like to move to Angola, or would you stay back in Portugal to do something else? What will be your plan?
Yeah, people always ask me that because in Angola, as a developing country, people always have that dream of going to more developed countries and all that. And once you are there, they're like, okay, stay there. That's the best world and all that. But I don't have this thought. For me, is as I have my PhD, as I will have my PhD, I will have more opportunities in my country to live, to have that stable life. And because in my country, I feel really safe and the weather, my family is around, and everyone is here to support me. So I feel better here in Africa. Maybe if I have to move, maybe it will be to an English-speaking country in Africa because I grew up in an English-speaking country, and I also want to provide that for my kids. Maybe it will be that, but still in Africa, but in tertiary level, of course, in university, continue as a, upgrade. Of course, I'm currently an assistant professor, then I will move on to associate professor, and then to reach the last level, the highest level in education, to have more flexibility, because the higher you go, the more in education, at least from what I know, the more flexible your life will, the more flexible it will be for you to be able to manage the work-life balance. And and also publish, because while doing my PhD, and perhaps I may be working while in this period, I may not have that time to publish more. So I would also like to have achieved my goals of publishing more articles and publish my book, my first book. I would also like to do that. So that's basically it. But in Portugal, unless God will bless me with a good opportunity, I don't know, we will see. But for now, it's just go back to my country.
So, what is the present status of empowerment in your country? Do you think that women in Angola are growing like you, or what kind of steps the government in Angola is taking to take the women to the next level on per the men?
Well, in Angola, gender equality is still it's there's still a great gap, okay, between men and opportunities that men have and women have. But I see the government also, just like in every part of the world, women are now pursuing, women are now studying, and they're now in the ministry. They're now having certain roles that they wouldn't have before. So there's these opportunities for women. Okay, so women have the opportunities are there, but the problem is perhaps the cultural barrier that I see here. For example, men here they really stick to that role. Okay, men should go to work and women stay at home. They still have that mentality, but some may not even have that mentality. But the problem is the support. From what I see, there's lack of support when women, especially when they get married. That's the biggest problem. When they get married, or when they get pregnant, it's like the opportunities or the strength are shut. It's like the door is closed for them when they either get pregnant or they get married. When they get married, the problem is mostly maybe if they don't have the support from their husbands. Okay, because men here are not so, from what I know, they're not so supportive. They are not really there. They're not really present for their kids. So women are mostly obliged to stay at home. But this is a case that I'm also investigating. I think research will perhaps answer better. But these are just some hypotheses that I'm presenting here, but I'm also investigating on this, like, but especially for us as teachers, like, what are the challenges that women face in pursuing leadership? For example, in our group, in our special interest group that I'm leading, we have very, very few active women. We have few women that are really willing to to do something for the association. And I don't blame them, actually. I really don't blame them, because I also see myself in their place. Like, when I was working, or when I'm currently working or studying, I have my husband there to help me. Like right now, I'm here in this interview. There are things that I had to do. I had to iron my daughter's uniform, and they would like ask, "Oh, mom, please." And my husband is there, and he even helped bring the table here and all that. So I have this support, and I'm really blessed to have that. But there are women who do not have this support, and I don't blame them, because they also have their kids and their home to take care of. So when they are working, they have to also find time to take care of their home. Otherwise it will be a disaster. I mean, you as a woman, I may be so successful in life. Okay, I have my PhD, and then I'll say, okay, I don't need a man, I am fine by myself. But I know that it's not possible. I can't imagine my life without my husband, even if I didn't have my kids to take care, because my struggles when I go to work, I will face some challenges, and I need to get home and someone to be there to support me. My dad, unfortunately, I lost my dad, and my mom, she's old, and I mean, she also has her responsibility, but someone that can provide me that personalized support. Okay, for students, of course, I'm talking about adults here, but for students, you have your parents. Okay, for those who have their guardians, parents at home, they are the ones that are there to support you. So you can't say that, you can't think that because you are intelligent, you are a genius, you can be great on your own. No, you need someone to be there to support you. You may not need someone to support you in your test or in your essay or something, but in other areas of life, okay, that will be the one it will be the thing that will, it's a packet, it's a package of everything. You have your intelligence, you have your hobbies, and there are also other emotional, you need emotional support from your parents or from someone that really shows love. So you can never try to disconnect. And many women, I see women trying to break that culture, which is not really bad. It's not bad. I'm not against women being a housewife and men pursuing a career, and then supporting, as long as they're supporting their kids and their wives, that's not a problem. But the problem is when women think that they're best on their own, and they can do everything on their own, and then they neglect, or they stop. I mean, they stop being what they should have been, naturally, and that just breaks things, and it's a mess.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for your time, and I know that how valuable your time is. And thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. And I must say that you are lucky enough to have a great husband. I must say that he is absolutely a fantastic husband. And
It's a blessing.
yes, definitely. Before we wind up the session, may I request you to give a message to my students?
Yeah, my dear students, I mean, I see them as my students as well, because I also taught seventh and eighth graders, and it just reminds me of them. Well, what I would like to advise you is to continue studying, don't stop studying, dedicate yourselves in what you're doing. Your parents know what's best for you. If they're telling you study, it's because they really know why it's important. Because as an adult, especially for those who are in their 40s or 50s, they they experience life and they know their mistakes that they committed and how they would have corrected them if they were to turn back the hands of time. But we can't do that, and they can't do that. That's why with their kids, they try to advise them. So follow the good advice of your parents, obey them, study, and you have a great teacher, and he has so many experience, and he has been dedicating himself in his work. So you have people that you can follow, good people who have achieved a successful life. They are the ones who you can look up to and see, okay, what has this person done? Okay, it's mostly dedication. Okay, so put dedication in what you are doing, because hard work pays off. Tomorrow you will be glad for the strictness of your parents or of your teachers and all the things that you may be complaining now and say, why should I study? Why should I do this? Why? You may not understand now, but just keep on moving. I also didn't understand before why I should work hard. I didn't like tests, but I had to do it. And whenever I had to do I didn't like doing tests, but I didn't also like having a negative mark. So I did my best to achieve the highest mark always. Like, although I didn't like studying and all that, it wasn't like a pleasure. It wasn't all pleasure. Being here, pursuing my PhD, it's not that much of a great pleasure, but it's mostly like this is how life is. And for those who are not dedicated in life, it's impossible for them to be successful. Successful people are always dedicated, they're always hardworking. So you really need to work hard in order to achieve success, and do not take the easy way of life, because if you try to take the easy way of life, sooner or later it will all go to zero, because that's not how the world was established. That's not how God established things. So you need to follow the right way and obey your parents, or be dedicated in what you do, and do good. I mean, your heart will tell you when you're doing something that's not right. It's natural. When you know that, when you're lying, or you're stealing, or you are taking drugs, or doing something that's really bad, your heart will tell you from what you have learned from your parents. And if you do those things, there are consequences. Unfortunately, there are bad consequences when we take bad actions, and there are good consequences when we take good actions. So that's that's a little bit it.